Hi, this is Skoggit, and today what I'm doing is I'm doing a story time with Skoggit, and crack myself open a ice cold Lone Star like I do in every story time. And I've got my good friend Forky here, what's going to assist me in this story. And something else what I've got is he's leaning up with his elbows on two California peaches. Now you're going to say, Skoggit, why is he leaning up on two California peaches? That's part of the story. The name of this story is Peachy Keen. This story is in 1969. In 1969, I was 12 years old. My brother would have been 10. My mother and grandmother decided that they wanted to go to Dinuba, California, to visit her sister, my grandmother's sisters. And they were already up in the years and everything. And so we took off in 1969. I remember we had a white 1966 Chevrolet Impala. And I'll tell you what, had that car now, it's priceless almost. I mean, that's real classic. But anyway, went to California and went to Dinuba, California. That's where they lived. It was two of my grandmother's sisters. Their names were Pearl and Marie. Marie lived to be in her 80s before she passed, and Pearl lived to be 113. My grandmother lived to be 98 years old, so they lived long lives. And this is a funny story, and it just going to share it with you. I thought about it and thought I was buying these peaches one day and looked on the tag. It said California, and I said, oh, I remember a story. I told Mrs. Skoggit the story, and she just laughed about it. But anyway, I get on with it. We make the trip over there and get to Dinuba. Now, Pearl and Marie, they're real religious ladies. I mean, they have a TV, but it's only on a Christian channel. Any other channel, according to them, is the devil's work. So, I think you kind of know what I'm talking about there. As any other channel is devil's work, therefore it's on a Christian channel. Like I say, I was 12, my brother 10, and no kids to play with, bored around there, nothing to do. So we could watch the Christian channel all day long if we like, sit there. But I mean, at our age, did we really want to do that? So I told my mom, I said, you know, we're bored to death. And she said, well, why don't you go walk the neighborhood, you know, see what's going on. Maybe there's a park or something you can, you know, go to. And so we started walking. And we walked, and about a couple blocks down, we ran into this boy. This boy, his name, I remember his name was Martin. And Martin was about 11, 12 years old. He had the reddest hair and freckles. I mean, his hair looked like carrot tops. I mean, it looked like that. And by me and my brother standing there looking at this kid, we knew this meant trouble. So, went ahead and introduced ourselves and told them they were visiting and everything. He said, you're not from around here, are you? I said, nope, we're from Texas. So he says, okay. And he says, well, what we going to do? He said, well, I got an idea of what we can do. He says, y'all like peaches? Yeah, we like peaches. Let's go over to this old lady's house down the block. she has a peach tree in her front yard, and it's right by the fence. We can go ahead and pick the peaches, eat as many as we want. And this was during the summertime. This was like, I remember, it's about July 4th, somewhere in the 1st of July. So I said, sound good. So we walked over there and found the house, and it was a nice house and had a peach tree right by the fence. And she had one of these old fences, what had the fence, but it had the rails to it, and they had the little, I don't know, spike-like things all the way across it. In other words, it was a fence, you know, you could see through it and everything, but it had the metal rods going up, and then it had like the spikes. It was about 5 feet high. Went and checked the gate. Well, the gate was locked, so the only other thing to do was climb the fence and get to the peaches on the tree. So I decided I'm a pretty good climber, and I'm going to go ahead and climb that fence. So I went ahead and climbed the fence and got up there, then got on the tree, skimmied up it, and got the peaches. I picked them and threw them down to my brother and Martin down there. And they got the peaches, then I skimmied on down and sat on the fence. I was like kind of up against the tree and the fence with my feet. And sitting there, we was eating peaches. And just having us a good old time. They was just standing right there. We was talking and eating the peaches. And all of a sudden, Martin says, "Run, the old lady's coming out." So I turned around and looked, and there's this old lady. She had to be, I guess, about 80 years old, kind of humpbacked over and everything. She was saying, "Get away from my peaches, get away from my peaches. I'm calling the police, get away from my peaches." And she started like walking towards us. Well, I went ahead and thought, I'll go ahead and jump off this fence. So I jumped, and when I did, my foot got caught between the little spikes there, and I fell. And I was hanging upside down. I was upside down, hanging there, and my foot was caught. Wasn't hurting or nothing, but I could like almost touch, I could touch the ground and kind of push myself up. She said, "Oh, Cot, I'm going to fix you." And I thought, oh boy, I don't know what that. My brother and Martin, I mean, they took off. And she went and got a water hose. I remember she went and got a water hose and dragging that water hose over there. And she got right in front of me. And then she walked back. It took her forever to get back. And she turned the water on. Full blast. She had this like nozzle thing on there. And anyway, she come back to where I was hanging. I was trying to get my foot loose. And I just couldn't do it. So she started spraying me with that water hose. She was just having herself a good time, spraying me down with the water hose, telling me, "Don't you ever steal from my peaches again, boy." And she was going on, and I was trying to get my foot loose, and I couldn't get it loose. And so finally, my brother and Martin was like, they would come back to check and see what was going on. And I was getting sprayed down. So they come over there and picked me up enough, and I got my foot, finally got my foot out, and she was spraying us all then. And she got me I was soaking wet. And we got out. She said, "Don't you come back and take my peaches," and we took off running. And remember going back home, and my brother, he got sprayed a little bit, but me, I was soaking wet. And went back home to change clothes. And whenever I was standing there on the porch and everything, there was Pearl and Marie. they were out there, and my mom was out there, and my mom looked at me and she says, oh, my grandma was there too, sitting out on the front porch, big old nice front porch, and she says, well, Skoggit, she says, why are you so wet? And my brother looked at her and looked at my grandmother's sisters, and he says, maybe because he got baptized. And they was like kind of didn't know what was going on. Went in the house and changed the clothes, and went back and messed around all day with Martin, and thought that was kind of a funny story, just on how it happened, and that little old lady, I can still see her. That's what's so funny when I think about it, is she sprayed me down. I mean, she sprayed me down. If it happened today, she'd probably be charged with some kind of crime for spraying a little kid down, probably child abuse or something like that. Times were different back then, but that's the way things are today. You can't do anything like that. Well, I wouldn't do anything like that, but it was just a fun time, and I think back on it, and it's just funny. Hope you enjoyed the story time. This is Skoggit. I appreciate all you viewers and subscribers out there, and Forky does also. And I think what I'm going to do after this get through here, I think I'm going to cut up that one of those peaches, and me and Forky's going to sit down and have ourselves a peach feast. This is Skoggit. Appreciate all you viewers and subscribers out there, and y'all take care.